On behalf of PARC ICTP Alumni Society and ICTP Global Science Portal, I would like to welcome you all on this special event to celebrate International Day of Women and Girls in Science. The International Day of Women and Girls in Science, celebrated annually on February 11th, it recognizes the critical role women and girls play in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Established by the United Nations in 2015, the DA promotes gender equality in scientific field, highlights the achievement of women in science, and encourages young girls to pursue careers in STEM. It serves as a reminder of the barrier women face in scientific career and the need for inclusive policy to ensure equal opportunities for all. Today's speaker is Dr. Amal Kasry. It is a pleasure to introduce Dr. Kasry, Chief of Section for Basic Sciences, Research, Innovation, and Engineering at UNESCO. A distinguished scientist and leader, she drives global initiatives in scientific capacity building, education, and innovation. With a PhD from Johannes Gutenberg University in Germany, Dr. Kasry has held research positions at top institutions, including the Max Planck Institute, UConn Health Center, and Cardiff University. She has also contributed to industry innovations at IBM and Nito Dinko. Before joining UNESCO, she was an assistant professor and director of the Nanotechnology Research Center at the British University in Egypt. An expert in material science and nanobiotechnology, Dr. Kasry has authored numerous publications, holds multiple patents, and is a reviewer for leading scientific journals. Today, she will be joining us to speak on strengthening basic sciences and engineering through institutional and human capacity building. May this session enlighten us on building a future where scientific advancement is driven by the inclusivity of all brilliant minds. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Kasry.
Yes, now it works. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you very much, Professor Imrana, for this kind introduction. It's really my pleasure to be with you today. And as the UNESCO staff now, I'm going to talk about what we do at UNESCO to in the field of basic sciences and engineering, and including, of course, in this important day we celebrate today, gender equality, which is actually one of UNESCO's priorities, and that we are addressing it in all our activities. So thank you very much for giving me the chance to be with you today. So as you can see here, I will talk about strengthening basic sciences and engineering. And just to introduce myself, I think Imran already said it, but I am responsible for the section of basic sciences and engineering at UNESCO. And in this section, we are mainly responsible for capacity building in these fields. And I will show you how we do this capacity building, what kind of programs or initiatives we have in order to achieve this. So let me move. So I think you know about UNESCO, but this is just a very brief introduction. You know, UNESCO was established more than 80 years ago, mainly, of course, to achieve peace through education and culture and science. And the science was one of the sectors that UNESCO actually started with. And currently, UNESCO has 194 member states, so almost all the world almost, in the international programs and intergovernmental programs that we manage. I will show you how these programs can help us achieving our mandates. So UNESCO basically has 5 main, let us say, mandates or tasks that we work on in all sectors. First, it's a laboratory of ideas. We can work with member states as intergovernmental organization. We work directly with the governments, with member states. Initiating ideas is something important because we need to make sure these ideas are implemented and then taken over to continue. And then policy analysis and development, also supporting member states with developing policy is very important. Standard setter, so we have several instruments or recommendations actually to help member states in their policy development. For example, I'm sure you heard about the recommendations on open science or the recommendations on the ethics in AI. So these are the standard settings that we develop with the help of member states, of course. And it's a catalyst and the motor for international cooperation. So as I said, as intergovernmental organization, international cooperation is a very, very important target. And finally, capacity building, which we do in all the different sectors of UNESCO. In the S in UNESCO, as you can imagine, it refers to science. And the natural sciences sector, as I said, it was one of the first sectors established under UNESCO. And what drives us at the natural science sector is actually the global challenges we face. So developing new programs depends very much on what's going on in the world. And we know that we are facing major challenges like failure of climate change, mitigation and adaptation, extreme weather events, for example, natural disasters or man-made disasters, wars, and so on. Biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse, all these water crises, all these are really major challenges that urge us to find solutions for. So these are the things that drives us to work with member state on, because all these challenges cause pressure on natural resources. They can cause many conflicts. People can be displaced due to lack of food or lack of water. So all these are really, really important things that we need to address and find solutions for. And we can find the solutions through all our different international and intergovernmental programs. Like we have the Man and the Biosphere program that addresses the biodiversity losses. We have the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, which is very important program now given the water crisis in different regions. We also have, for example, the International Basic Sciences Program, which I will talk about it in a minute. Of course, you know this ICTP and TOAS, I no need to introduce both of them. Both of them are part of UNESCO. ICTP is a UNESCO Category 1 center. TOAS, the World Academy of Science, is actually a program unit at the natural sciences sector, and both are very, very important for capacity building. You see these numbers actually are not the latest versions of numbers, but these numbers reflect how much support these two entities give to the developing world, to the scientists everywhere. And I'm narrowing down now what we do. So I go now under the basic side, the natural sciences sector. There are three divisions, and one of the division is the science policy and the basic science, which we are part of. And in this division, we work on two major things. One is the science policy, including open science and science diplomacy. And one is the capacity building in basic sciences and engineering. And this is what I'm going to focus on. And I usually like to use this kind of representation of basic sciences really as the roots. And all these things are the applications that without really feeding the roots quite well, you will not have them. And the reason I put it like this way is that we all know that basic sciences quite often everywhere faces a lot of challenges due to little investments, due to the way science is currently being measured and being assessed, because the scientists want to publish quickly, they want to get funding, and for that the applied science is dominating, and the applications are easy to work on compared to long-term research or projects under basic sciences. It is something we need to, all of us need to be cautious about. We need really to make sure that we are investing enough in fundamental sciences. And again, in the section, I'm responsible for basic science research, engineering, innovation, and engineering. As the name reflects, we are responsible for this. We work with early career scientists, researchers, engineers, and I will show you how we do this. So we build scientific, technological, and engineering capacities. Also the infrastructure, we also address and try to build the infrastructure. Invest in building the capacity of the researchers, and of course creating scientific networks. And I will show you also some examples of these scientific networks. So in order to do this, we have three major pillars or three major programs. The first is the basic sciences program. This one, as the name reflects, it's about really the fundamentals. So the expand foundational knowledge through observation and experimentation. And we have the engineering program, which we try to strengthen the engineering to take us to new technologies. In these two programs, in the basic sciences and engineering, we focus more on the high, following the higher education. So early career scientists, researchers, engineers, universities, research institutes, NGOs, industry. In the STEM program, we focus more on the school level. So we try to strengthen the capacity of the teachers through hands-on training. And the teachers, of course, in return, they train the students. By the way, you will see QR codes in most of my slides. This can take you directly to the web page of the program. So here you have the 3 programs. You can take a look and see what we do in more details. In the STEM program, I will mention this later, but I just want to mention that we are currently renewing or trying to work on new strategy to have a clear definition of STEM and the STEM approaches, because there have been a lot of confusion about this. How do you define STEM? Is it anything under science and engineering? Is it related to the education aspect only? I believe due to this kind of confusion, the impact is not high in what we do, and that's why we formed an expert group to give us advices on how to have a proper definition for STEM. And this Maslow's pyramid, we know all Maslow's law and Maslow's pyramid. So I tried to use this to explain or visualize how we see these programs together, or how they are complementing each other. So if you start with the STEM awareness and the foundational learning, this really starts in the school level, and the students, educating the teachers, training the teachers using hands-on training. And through this, you create the curiosity. It's a curiosity-driven exploration, because you need to make the students curious and learn why science is important. By the way, it's not our time. Of course, we want to increase the number of scientists and engineers, because definitely there is a clear lack of engineers in some regions, for example. But not everyone obviously has to study science or engineering, but we see it as like everyone must be equipped with the scientific knowledge or the scientific skills, to be critical skills, to know how to criticize, how to judge, and so on. This is very important. And then one step ahead is the STEM competences and the workforce preparation. So this means bridging school education with the higher education learning. And through critical thinking, again, as I said, digital literacy, exposure to the real STEM world, in case they are interested to continue in STEM-related career. And then comes the higher education. From here, these 3 are related more to the basic sciences and engineering programs. So the STEM program focuses on these 2 while we go, but they are all really connected to each other. In the higher education and research capacity building, as I said, we work with the universities to support in laboratories building and research, strengthening researchers building capacity. And then the technology and the applied research is another stage, where we try to advance the scientific discoveries and the engineering, and this is towards really the technology. Hopefully, in the end, we have really the global innovation and societal transformation. So our final aim, let us say, the innovation is really the top of the pyramid. But in order to reach this, we need really to start with a strong base of STEM education. And hopefully this can take us also to stream engineering breakthroughs and so on. So I hope this pyramid shows you really what we do. It's all connected to each other. We have the International Basic Sciences program, and this program really, it has an advisory scientific board. It supports us in national, regional, and the global programs in the fields of physics, of chemistry. And this advisory board come from different disciplines, basically advise the Director General on the recent trends in the field of sciences and basic sciences, specifically basic sciences. So it's an international program, and we are reconstituting a new one now. And then how I will, because of the time, of course, I will not be able to talk about everything, but I would like to mention this, because this one, this remote access initiative, we started it like 2 years ago, and it is very a core part now of our basic sciences program and engineering as well. It spans for both. So the remote access, the idea here is really to give access to the scientists in the global south who don't have access to facilities, to sophisticated laboratory equipment, to ensure that they can have this access. Because we know that, for example, there are a lot of fellowship programs, like hundreds of them, and which are very good, of course, and the scientists travel to study abroad. But then, if they go back, they face the problem that they don't have facilities to continue their good research, or they don't go back, which is a huge brain drain problem. In order to solve this, we need really to make sure the scientists have, when they go back to their home countries, they have access to the quality, the sophisticated research equipment that can help them continue their high quality research, because this is the only way they can continue and find solutions for their regions in the end. We started with Africa, as Africa is a priority for UNESCO, and we are expanding this. We started with one model, which is the single crystal X-ray diffractometer. Believe it or not, in Africa, there are very, very few ones, maybe 2 or 3 in South Africa, and maybe someone else. But really, so this is really a huge problem, because this technique is very important in material science, in physics and chemistry and biology. It can really help the scientists a lot. So we started with the help of CNRS, International Union of Crystallography, and the University, Lorraine University here in France. And we give the access. You see here the scientist who actually helps, he receives the samples from the scientists, he just mount it for them, and then the scientists can use the equipment remotely. And the advantage here, as you can imagine, that they own the data. It's their own data. They do the analysis, so they do everything by themselves. It's not like you are sending samples and someone is doing everything for you. This definitely makes a huge difference. And here, this is, of course, for that we do some training first. We do train 1 or 2 physically, and then the others are remotely connected, and they get training on how to use the equipment remotely. And the reason for having 1 or 2 physically trained is to act as focal points for the others in the future, to track errors, to and here we have a very good platform. Please take a look here at this. Using this QR code, because we have a lot of information, and there is a call now for African scientists to apply to use this. So normally we initiate a call. We also initiated call for all member states to tell us, to urge their scientific institutions to help us, to connect with us. In fact, we received a very good response. So now we try to match between the needs and the availabilities. And this is, hopefully we can expand this to different regions, and also different other techniques as well. Of course, we are facing some challenges, as you can imagine, but even little challenges like sending samples abroad from some countries, it can be really a problem. So of course, we try to also resolve these issues, but really this initiative is creating a lot of interest. And please, if you have questions for us on this, if you would like to support us in this, please let us know. And then, yeah, these are the numbers that received the training. You see, this is a real image from the students who are, the researchers who are actually accessing the equipment remotely. So 126 researchers have been trained so far in Africa, and 118 students, because the researchers are usually from universities, so they also they teach also. So they use also not only for research, but also for teaching, which is also good. So 5 African countries have full access now. 11 in total were trained. So we are working on expanding this. And yeah, as I said, all these are the different techniques that we hope in the future to include, like imaging analysis, microscopy, computational methods as well, which is much easier than the others, and so on. And as I said, we do the matching between the available. And I'm so sorry, I don't know what this line is, this red line. I don't know where it came from. Sorry about that. It's probably something in the presentation. Apologies for that. Another initiative, actually, we also started like a bit more than 2 years ago, is science and engineering entrepreneurship. The idea of that is really to equip the scientists and the engineers with the ability or the skills to be innovative. So to take their innovative ideas from the lab to the market. Because there are many brilliant scientists, they do great job, but they don't know how to actually take their ideas to investors, for example, or they don't know how to make a startup or how to solve actually a major challenge. So these are usually very intensive courses. We do this with many different partners, as you see here. All these are our partners in this initiative. So far, we did two in Africa, two boot camps in Africa, one in Latin America and the Caribbean, and one in Asia. It's really very interesting. We did it on different topics in nanotechnology, in food industry, in engineering, general one. And it really and now we have an idea now, because we want to make this as sustainable. So we are having working now on a new strategy to transform these entrepreneurship bootcamps to innovation hubs. So we hope in the near future, by mid this year, we will launch this new initiative, which is to establish innovation hubs in several regions and have a network also of innovation hubs. Now for the STEM program, as I said, it's based on hands-on training tools. So we started several years ago. UNESCO started several years ago, and that first we started with the microscience kits. The microscience kits are usually like a lab in a box, where the students and we train the teachers and the students can learn about the fundamental physics, fundamental science in general, physics, chemistry, biology, using these small boxes with very little tools. And then we moved to the coding using robotics. We had an agreement with Google, this Cog Labs, and basically it's using a very normal smartphone. Doesn't have to be any fancy phone, any normal smartphone they can use. They connect it to the robotics, and they actually, as you see here, they do really beautiful coding work. Also, they 3D printing as well. So as you see, these are actually real pictures from the training. And as I said, now we are really in a stage where we are really transforming this our concept about STEM education, or how to contribute to STEM education through these hands-on tools. So we will introduce new tools. These are the total number of, actually they are more than this. So 1,000 teachers were trained, and of course this is for rural areas, it's our priority. 1,000 teachers were trained. In return, they trained 10,000 students. We use the 3D printers, robotics, and the microscience kits, as I said, and we always achieve the gender parity in this kind of training. By the way, all our training, we target to achieve gender parity. For example, in the entrepreneurship, in one of them, we even exceeded 50%. In average, total was about between 45 and 48% female participation. And in the remote access also, this is a bit more challenging, but we try. So in all our training activities, we always try to target gender parity. So I want to talk about the network of UNESCO, because these are also very important tools for us. We have Category 2 centers, and we have the UNESCO chairs. The Category 2 centers under the auspices of UNESCO are basically, they are centers of excellence supported directly by the government. And they have to be like really achieving UNESCO's objective, basically. So it's a very, very complex, very strict process, and it takes a very long time to be a Category 2 center. And we have under basic sciences and engineering, in total, we have now 23 centers all over the world. We have in the field of basic sciences, you see in biotechnology, engineering, renewable energy, space, really quite interesting. We ran a survey some time ago, and these are the results. The purpose of the survey was really to understand what exactly they are doing, so how we can partner with them. So some are working more in capacity building, some in the outreach, some in the research and development. So it was really, because these are the expertise that we need to work with. We also have UNESCO chairs. These are eminent scientists in their fields, and also they need to show that they have budget, they have, because the agreements are usually with the universities. So we have total, in fact, 64 now. I need to update this number, 64 chairs now all over the world in all these fields that you see here: STEM, microscience, bioeconomy, engineering and agriculture, energy, interdisciplinary research, health science, green chemistry, really all different fields that you can imagine. And we also have series of prizes. We have 3 prizes and 1 grant program. In fact, two now grant program, because with the Equatorial Guinea Prize now we also support African female scientists as part of the prize for grant, 1 year grant. And the prizes are usually very important to encourage the scientists, to support them, to support the research. So we have Equatorial Guinea Prize for research in life sciences. This is specifically for life sciences. Three scientists every year. And we have a UNESCO Al-Fuzan Prize. This is in STEM, also for early career researchers below 40 years old. 5 each 2 years, one from each region. We have Carlos Finlay Prize for microbiology, one of the oldest prizes, started in the 80s of last century. And we have UNESCO, we have the FOS Agro UNESCO IUPAC partnership in green chemistry. This is a grant program, 1 year grant, 30K for researchers in the field of green chemistry based on proposals. And now before I end, I would like to draw your attention to a very, very important initiative we have right now, which is the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. And this one, I really invite all of you to be part of this, to participate in the implementation of this decade. It started in 2024, so it will last until end of 2033. So we still have 9 more years to come. And why the motivation behind the proclamation of this decade, and why member states were interested to have a decade? Because we suffer also from many different problems: lack of institutional support to science, lack of the recognition of science, growing inequalities in the field of science, and between different nations, and even between the same nation, between males and females, the proliferation, misinformation, and disinformation is a huge problem now. We all have seen this during COVID, for example, the limited recognition of basic sciences. So all these are really major challenges. We felt like we really need a decade to solve it. So based on that, this is our vision and mission for the decade. The vision is that sciences and the science culture required for sustainable world developed and accessible to all. Mission is to engage all societal actors to further advance science and equally benefit from it. And we have these major objectives, but let me tell you that our ultimate goal really is to build the culture of science, to make everyone understanding what science is, why it is important. Not everyone has to be a scientist, but really understanding the value of science is very, very important. And this has to be achieved by multidisciplinarity and the transdisciplinarity. And we expect, or we anticipate, these 5 major outcomes. Scientific literacy is something we are really working on now. It's very important to enhance the scientific literacy. Actionable scientific knowledge, basic sciences and advancement of basic sciences, open science, and innovation system, or to be transformed, the way science is being done. And okay, the current call, okay, this call has ended already, the deadline passed, but there will be 2 calls per year. And I invite you to consider, please, applying for these calls. There is no funding, but it is really that if you are doing a project or an activity or a program that you think can achieve any of these or contribute to achieving any of these expected outcomes, you can apply. So there are 3 categories: activities, or I think I have it here. Activities or programs or projects. It can be any of these. You can apply. This activity can be very simple, maybe event, a workshop, training activity. A project encompasses activity, and of course a program encompasses both. So you can apply, and this will be evaluated by an advisory committee of the decade and the executive committee of the decade. And executive committee, by the way, has member states and other UN agencies and the scientific community in all, International Science Council and the World Federation of Engineering Organization. So the executive committee really has very wide representation, and they will evaluate, and based on the recommendation, these proposals will be endorsed. The endorsed ones will be featured on the website of the decade. They will receive the logo of the decade, which you see here. Okay, where is the logo of the decade? Sorry. Okay, I should add the logo somewhere. Yes, it's here. You see it up here. Sorry, you see it. here. This is the logo of the kit. So the endorsed ones will be using the logo to implement their activities. And so it's really very important initiative. Please consider participating or contributing to it. And then now we have also very important another initiative that we had the opening ceremony this this week, sorry, which is the last week, which is the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology. This is a very, very important initiative now because it's creating amazing momentum and really very impressive interest from all member states and from governments, from industry, from NGOs, from researchers and scientists. It's really very important initiative, and our main aim or objective by end of this year is really to contribute to reducing the gap in this field, because there is a huge gap now between the North and the South in the quantum science and technology. The countries that have national strategies for quantum technologies are very few, and we need to change that. We need really to work all together on changing this and because without this equity, things cannot move in a good way. So yeah, I mentioned this already, and this is my team that you see celebrating today, the Year of Women and Science. Women and girls in science. Most of my team members are female, but this is just a coincidence. But of course, this is my team that I'm really very proud of, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Okay. If you have any, thank you so much, Amal, first of all. Thanks a lot for the nice talk. Do we have any questions? Charlotte, I'm unmuting you. If there is a question or you would like to ask question, so you are unmuted.
So I think I'll start off and see if we get some more questions coming from people as I'm going. I had a few questions for you. That was a fantastic talk. Thank you so much for taking the time to discuss this with us.
Thank you.
One of the things I wanted to ask is that I think we all feel that with quantum science, there's a massive gap, a global gap between the North and South. How would you propose to address that? Because it seems to be a lot based on intrinsic, quite high level technology that some people have and some people don't. What kind of strategies do you think could be put in place for that?
Thank you very much. This is really a very good question, and it is something we are really preparing ourselves for. Actually, we started preparing for this since the proclamation last year. And we started already with the first step on how to to understand this and address it is by conducting a global survey with one of our industrial partners. We already prepared that. We hope by end of this week or early next week, this survey will be sent out to all member states, to all our partners, to all stakeholders everywhere. We will share with you, so please disseminate. This survey really is designed to understand exactly what the reasons for the gaps are. The gap exists for sure, but we need to understand why. We can see some reasons. For example, it's a field that requires a lot of resources and a lot of money. And this is one first reason, the lack of investment in this technology. So you need really to start with the education, with the research, and then with the technology. So because without this strong base, it will be very difficult. So there are some research groups here and there, but really it's really on the very fundamental without any aim for going to the application. So this is what we need to address. So this survey will indicate to us, is it only about the investment or is it only about the lack of national strategies? This is also another important question, because the strategy is actually the first thing that helps the governments to allocate resources, right? To develop programs, and this is what we have seen happening in some regions. Another concern actually for us is that, you can see easily, is that the investment in this field is mostly from the private sector, not from the public sector. And this is another issue, because we need to make sure that both are coming together for the sake of everyone. The technology cannot be only in the private sector, which is very important. I mean, normally the technology is developed by the private sector, really, but in this important field, because it will have really impact on communication and security, on sensing, on many different fields. It's really important also that the governments are aware of the impact. It's really destructive in the technology for sure. So we need to, and destructive in a good sense, not in a bad sense, by the way, because the word can have two meanings. So it's really important to understand that it is important technology. So we believe this survey, but by end of the year, we aim to have a report with the results of this survey, with the proper analysis showing what to do, and with recommendations as well on what could be done to address this, or to reduce the gap a little bit. I mean, I cannot say to close the gap. I think it's a very, very long term plan, but at least to put policies to reduce the gap. And we, in parallel to this, we plan other activities. For example, the remote access initiative that I explained, that I presented, we will do. We have already with one partner, USA, who has a quantum computer. We are finalizing an agreement with them now to give access to this quantum computer to scientists in the Global South. Another thing, we are developing now a program. Hopefully, it will be launched in April. A program to online course actually on quantum algorithms. We will start by targeting women scientists in Africa, but we hope then to expand this to other regions and like more people. So.
Okay, thank you so much,
very much.
Amal. Now, Nigam, you can go ahead, and then we have Shaukat Ali. And Shaukat, you can also show your slide later on after Nigam. Nigam, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, good evening from Lahore, Pakistan. Amal, thanks a lot for really informative talk and sharing the links. We will definitely check them out. I have a couple of questions. The first thing is there any particular contact person which deals with our region of the world, like Pakistan, India, Iran, this region? If there is such a person, or if there is such information, kindly share it with our community. The second thing I want to share is there any funding or support program when it comes to teaching laboratories of STEM? Like, I am teaching optics this spring semester in my university, and my public sector university is really short on resources when it comes to even optics setups. So I was wondering if there is any kind of help which I can apply for and get some equipment for my students. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for the question. For the first one, we have office in Pakistan, in Islamabad. We have an office in Iran. These are national offices. We also have regional offices in the region to support. But actually, we have colleagues in these two countries. You can in Afghanistan as well, by the way, in Kabul. So we have UNESCO offices in these countries. So if you are looking for something specific, please let me know, and I can easily connect you with the colleagues there, and we can see what to do, and if they can do something directly there, if they need backup from headquarters, we are always happy to support. Regarding your second question, I mean, UNESCO is not it doesn't function as a funding agency, but we develop programs to support STEM program. In the STEM training, for example, what we usually do is that if we can have a training in certain region, we provide the toolkits and we leave them. We don't take them back. So we provide the toolkits. We provide also the training, the trainer for free, and they conduct the training. And then we hope that the teachers or the researchers who are trained, they can continue this using the same the kits that we left. So this is the model we use. But unfortunately, we don't have really a program. I mean, this grant program that I showed you in green chemistry, it's from the donor. So it has to be with a partner. So we work with a partner who provides the funds. So at the moment, we don't have really programs to directly provide funds, but I mean, we can see, we can discuss what the needs are. Because we can, through our network, perhaps we can facilitate connections or something like that.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, Amal, I want to make a comment because you're right. There is a UNESCO's office, United Nations office in Islamabad, but it is sometimes really hard to reach them. You know, the question is they don't respond your calls and this.
I'm sorry.
If you go there in person, so they ask whom you want to meet, who has invited you. So nobody was invited me at that time, so couldn't make it. So that is another reason.
Well, I'm so sorry for that, but please, if you really want something, please contact us, and I can definitely talk to the colleagues, and we can find out what to do.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay,
So
we've got a couple of more questions. Did you want to go through them, Imrana?
No,
we've got a couple of
you
questions
can
on the
put
chat.
question and then we want to go to Shaukat Ali because he wants to share a slide.
Okay, brilliant.
Please
Well, I tell you what, I'll quickly go through these. So Fatima asks, is there any prerequisites for applying to the Decade program? So this is basically the decade of sustainable development.
Well, the most important thing is that the idea is really can achieve the output of the decade, or the expected output of the decade, which you can find easily on the website of the decade. And of course, also most important thing is that there is either fund or funding model. So if you have the fund already and you want to start something, okay. But if you have an idea, but you have a funding model that you will acquire the fund in the next 1 or 2 years, you can also prepare this. It's an application form that you can download, and you can fill it, and then you can submit online your application. So all the questions will be there, and if something is not clear, there is an email on the website of the decade. Just feel free to send an email, and we will respond.
Okay, brilliant. And the next question, thank you very much. The next question is Marine Khan, who asked, I'd like to know if there is any specific agenda towards social sciences in your survey. So the survey that you're undertaking for the International Year of Quantum, I think.
Right. In fact, you know that we have a social science sector at UNESCO besides the natural science sector, and we work together, of course. In fact, they took part or they were worked with us on the opening ceremony of the International Year of Quantum, for example, because they addressed the ethical concept or the ethical part of this technology. So in the survey, we are discussing with them. We may add a couple of questions that can address the social aspect, like the ethical aspect, the effect on expected effect on humans. But actually, I have to say also the purpose of the survey is to go deep to the fundamental level. Really, why there is a gap? Because in principle, we know that, as I said, the gap exists. If there are nothing about quantum technology, obviously there is nothing to address socially, right? So the priority here is really to understand why the gap exists, so we know, or we can design or come up with ideas and programs on how to reduce it. But we will make sure also that there are some couple of questions to address the social aspect. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. One last question I had for you quickly before you go. So these slides are fantastic. Could we have the slides from you so we can share them on the portal potentially?
Yes, I can share, no problem. Yes.
That would be fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll email you anyway for the portal, because we would very much like you to join.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shaukat, you can share your slide now.
Thank you. Okay, I have only one slide. So in this slide, I have also a question from Amal that we can join hands together for such activities. We have started capacity building of from different countries, especially from low income and least income countries. We also include some middle income countries in this. We are providing training to the people that is vulnerable in the region, and especially we are training the female researcher in the atmospheric sciences or climate change. So we started this project back in 2017, and we started training in Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Central Asian country. And those meeting was in-person meeting. But when we were delivering those training, so we came to know that the people who in this field or they want to become the part of this field or this initiative, they don't have the basic knowledge, or they have their concept on the basic things are not very good. Then we have started this initiative, the online course, a complete course of 4 months, especially for women. And we invited women from Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, even from Central Asian country. And we also included some students from Africa last year. So in this training, we train the female researcher, and we go through like the basic concept of climate change. Then we go to the higher topic, like we provide the concept of energy, radiation, thermodynamics, because physics is very much involved in our field. Then the hydrological cycle, and then we move towards the practical implementation of these things and practical application. So this initiative we are using like sense to policy communication, because keeping in view today's presentation that female participation is very much important in our work. So initially when we have organizing the in-person meeting, so we make it sure that 50% of our participants should be a female. And we did this, and then it was appreciated. And this is totally dedicated program for the female. So this call is open. I already shared an email with Imrana, and we are starting this again in next month. And the teachers from Brazil is basically teaching this course, but we are also inviting different people free of cost, and we provide certificate. And the good thing in this, if you saw the link here, that is Women and Atmospheric Connection. So this news article we write about this course, and it's on the APN website. That is the one of the organization that is working for Asian countries. And we work on this initiative with the APN. And now we are going to continue this initiative. So you can read this news article and you will better know about that what we are doing and what's our future plan. But the main thing that one of the participant asked that networking, like they go to UNESCO office and they are asking from them, and sometimes they didn't get response. So these 3 points: global collaboration, capacity building, and working together, that is called networking. So these are very important in the field like climate change, or in the field like atmospheric changes, where we mix together different fields together. And when you are the crossing of field is there, then networking is very important. So I'm very much looking forward towards you people, especially Amal. Amal, I would also ask, like, your initiative is very good in Africa, and I really appreciate it. I would wish that if we can jointly start some initiative similar to this one that we are doing, and you can contribute, and we can start it from for Asia and Central Asia, because we have experience in Asia and Central Asia, and we can do it together with your platform and with the ICTP platform, and keeping the expertise from Imrana. She's also doing great work. So it will be a good combination between us, and we can start this initiative further. So one of my question from you that what is your personal experience when you are now doing capacity building for the female in Africa? That what are the challenges that you are facing? And the second thing is that you were showing the International Decade for Science for Sustainable Development. I also checked the page, but there is no link for email or how to join this. So I may not get the problem to connect them. So please, if you can comment on this, I will be thankful. Thank you.
Amal, I have unmuted
Yes,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much, Imran. Thank you very much, Shaukat, for the questions, for first of all, for the impressive activities you presented. Sounds really great. Your question is really interesting and important, the type of challenges we face. First of all, as I said, until a certain level, the challenges are minimal because you can have female scientists contributing in if they are early career. What we noticed is that, and I think everyone noticed the same, if you want them to continue to a higher level, it becomes very, very challenging due to several reasons. Either something actually could be in the system itself, or of course the social reasons, cultural reasons. And in fact, I received this comment from many African scientists who are like professors, for example, talking about how they had brilliant female scientists, but unfortunately, they started their master degree, for example, and then they cannot continue because their families want them to do something else, or because they get married, or because of family problems. And so there are a lot of cultural and social problems actually that unfortunately reflects directly on the on how female can continue their career. For example, when we the first boot camp in the entrepreneurship training, it was for we had scientists from 10 African countries, and as I said, this was the only one that we had more than 50% female, 52 or 53%, and it was really amazing contribution. And the team that won in the end, because in the end we divide them to teams, and then they have to present based on what they learned. And the winning team had 2 males and 2 females, and then the 2 females they were from a country where there was some, unfortunately, bad circumstances due to war. They had to leave the country, both of them, and obviously they did not continue. And this is also another challenge, which is really can definitely affect the continuity of females in the field of research. Or science in general. So yeah, this is the examples of what we face. Of course, we try to support and help as possible. For example, now there is a UNESCO chair, for example, also from a country also under war. She moved somewhere else, but she keeps really working remotely with her students in her country. She keeps really huge momentum, really amazing. She's doing an amazing job. And we invite her sometimes to some of our events to show the potential of what she's doing. So these are some examples of how we try to support and help. We try our best. Sometimes it's beyond us, but of course we need to keep trying, all of us. And the second question, sorry, there was a second question.
Yeah, it was just information about the Science for Sustainable Development, because I visited the page that you shared, and
Okay.
there is no information regarding like email or how to contact them, because I want to be the part of this initiative.
Yes.
It's on sustainable development, so it's include climate change. And the good thing between your projects and my projects, that you have mostly female around you, and the same with in my project. So we support more than 50% ensure, but sometimes we have 90% of female in assignments.
That's a great
That's a good thing.
Well, thank you very much. I shared the link of the decade here, and the contact link. If you go, I will share. Yeah, the contact actually at the end of the page, there is a contact, and there is a link to the email. So if you click this link, it will send an email. You can send an email to the person responsible for the decade. I mean, my colleague here, and we will respond, of course. This is the decade secretariat. And for the call, you can go to the link "Get Involved" in the top. Let me share it with you also. So if you also click on this one, I shared the link here. This one, you will see that submit by. Okay, this was the call that already ended. We need to update the web page here. So the next call will be around the end of April, early May, because there will be twice a year, two calls per year. So the results of the first one we are still evaluating, and in fact, just to share with you, it was really we were really impressed by the number of applications, because we started this decade recently, and to be honest, we were struggling with the visibility of this decade. But actually, we received only within 1.5 months, we received 221 applications from 52 countries. So we were really, really happy with this. Of course, we need to do more, but this means that there is a good outreach, and 33 programs, the eligible ones so far, 33 programs, 70 projects, and I think 30 something activities. And hopefully next time there will be even more and more.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.